What's going on, everybody? Grady here for another video, and today I am here with the 2021 Volkswagen ID.4. Let's go over some of the unique features about the ID.4 and then we'll go for a drive. Let's get started. The ID.4 is new for the 2021 model year. It's Volkswagen's all-electric SUV built on the MEB electric platform. This particular model is finished in glacier white. Up front you're going to find these very cool LED headlights with daytime running lights. Coming over to the side, you're going to find 20-inch alloy wheels with that first edition badge right on the fender. Black mirrors with turn signal indicators. A unique feature about the ID.4 that I really like is the door handles. There's no handle itself, just a soft button. Lets you get inside. With the craze of electric cars as well as SUVs, Volkswagen decided to mold the two together to come up with the ID.4. Coming around to the back here, you're going to find full width LED taillights, ID.4 badge, as well as VW's updated badge. And I think the vehicle looks very handsome, conservative in a way that you'd appreciate a Volkswagen, but also new and interesting. I love little accents such as this white body line here that cuts across and into the bumper here. That's gray on white. It looks very cool. You look up high, you have a sloped roof line that shows off that glass panoramic roof that we'll talk more about. But overall, I think it's an extremely handsome SUV. But why don't we climb on inside the ID.4 and go for a drive. Alrighty, everybody, setting off in the 2021 Volkswagen ID.4. Okay. Oh, that's awesome. I will say, every time I get in an electric vehicle, whether that be a Tesla, I recently reviewed the Mustang Mach-E for the channel. God, it's such a cool feeling, such a strange sensation. As someone that's been a car guy his whole life, that's been really used to the internal combustion engines, an electric car offers a really unique driving experience. This particular model, being the rear-wheel drive, has 201 horsepower. So it's not the fastest version that they're going to have, but it does still have that really immediate punch that you get from any electric car. And it's, oh God, it's really bizarre. It's fun. It's fun. I like it. I like it a lot. I really am never used to this. Silent driving. I can turn on the regenerative braking with just a twist of the gear selector, which is a knob that's located right here on top of right over the steering wheel, which I think is a unique way to place the shift lever. It's just very different, and I like that. I like that Volkswagen is doing something a little bit different, but it's also still familiar. You know, the controls on the steering wheel all still look the same. The infotainment system, although it's updated, it's still extremely easy to navigate. I get to accelerate again, which is extremely exciting, but overall it's still a very familiar place to be. And that's what a lot of buyers in this market are going to want. They want something that still feels like a car. It's not some super futuristic vehicle that it's hard to find where everything is. It still feels like a Volkswagen, but it's electric. I realize being stuck in traffic isn't a perfect way to represent how this car drives, but I can still get into talking about some of the unique features. One you can probably see is the steering wheel. It's something that's only on the first editions, and whether you love it or hate it, I think it's really interesting and cool, because that's something that you just don't see a lot these days, is something bold like a white steering wheel with white controls all over. But coming across that, there's actually updated controls for the wiper stocks. I love how they're white and they look really nice and high quality. Everything has a very high quality touch and feel point to it. Another thing too, kind of fun, it's got individual armrests right here, which is nice because there's no center console, because there's no gearbox, engine, or anything. It's just that battery pack with the rear-wheel drive motor. Another thing I like is the light controls here. They're actually just touch capacitive, which is really different because I drive a Volkswagen Passat myself, and I'm used to having the little dial. I mean, I know anyone that owns a Volkswagen or has been in one knows what that is. So it's just a little touch capacitive button, and it's a really strange way to operate it, but once you get used to it, it's fine. Oh, that thrust is really cool. As I mentioned before, this particular model has a panoramic sunroof. It doesn't actually slide just because it's such a large piece of glass, similar to how a Tesla operates, but it still is really nice to have that natural light in, and it's actually a really warm day here in northern Michigan, so I'm just trying to stay cool here. Looking across the rest of the dashboard, though, it's very, very simple, and that's what Volkswagen was really trying to get here. The gauge cluster, the big screen, although it's extremely responsive, and just like any other smartphone or anything else that you're used to, it offers a lot of really interesting features, diving deep into vehicle settings and parameters, to radio, media controls. You have your climate controls. You have some capacitive touch stuff down on right below the screen, like volume and everything, but it's ultimately a lot of it can be controlled inside of the main screen here. And the rest of it is just simple. And I think that that's a great approach for what Volkswagen's trying to do here, because at the end of the day, cars get so techy and so complicated that sometimes they can even date themselves as they come out. But I actually like this design. It's kind of fun. It's a little funky. You don't see anything like that. Like the digital screen here right above the steering wheel, it actually slides with the steering wheel itself, moves up and down, similar to how the Nissan 370Z did, but it's just now a screen. And I think that's really interesting. Turning again, I love the ride. The seating position's really nice. The hood drops off really well. Visibility is fantastic. You have these huge mirrors, which are power operated, which is extremely nice. And looking out the back, visibility is fantastic. These SUVs, that's what they're known for. They have really good great visibility, great usability, practicality, and because that's what buyers want. And this is great. Especially being an electric powertrain, you can free up some space where you would have had internal combustion pieces like a transmission and drive shafts and everything. But this platform does a really good job of just maximizing the space. You have great safety and ultimately usable, even in the base trim or with the 201 horsepower, you still get quite a zippy car indeed. But as someone that has reviewed several electric vehicles, I can't say this is the sportiest one I've driven. That Mustang Mach-E that I drove, which was also the rear-wheel drive version, was much more sporty, but it carried the Mustang name, so it has to be. But this thing still feels really good. These seats are nice and comfortable. Actually it's pretty good sized bolsters, all things considered. I love the perforation on the leather. It says ID right on the top. I love that. The rest of the dashboard being, gray and silver and black, although it's a bit mundane on the color, the designs are still nice. But one thing I will like to mention looking across the dashboard is the ID light. It's a giant light strip that stretches all the way across the edge of the dashboard, and it can do things such as mark where your turn signals are, if you have an incoming phone call, directions for navigation. It's this large LED that can pulse and kind of, as you look around it, it can show if you're sitting in the passenger seat, the passenger side, if you're talking to the car, it will actually light that side up versus if you're in the driver's seat and you're on the driver's side talking, it will enhance which side you're on, which I think is really cool and a fun way to incorporate a relatively simple concept in just a light bar, but make it interactive. Hey, ID.
How can I help you?
Where can I go to get some food? And I think that that's sort of the next leg of where automotive is going to head, because people want to interact with their vehicles the way they interact with their phones. They want them to be connected. They want to be a part of the user experience in a different way than how buyers of years past have been. I'm currently using the regenerative braking, which is really cool. You can have that one pedal driving that is very, very nice. What's cool too with other little things like safety tech, you have travel assist, which is like a combination of lane assist and adaptive cruise control, but it actually keeps you more centered in your lane, which I think is really cool. It's kind of, it helps with, it's sort of that autonomous but not autonomous driving that we are so looking forward to. But you still need to keep your hands on the wheel and be mindful of everything going on. But it's just nice to, on a long drive, to be able to just take a step back and enjoy the drive. Backseat space is extremely good. Being able to, as someone that is 6'2", sitting behind myself, it's actually very comfortable and spacious. Same nice materials on the leather and everything, leatherette. The one really cool feature while we're sitting here at a light once again is the brake pedal and the throttle pedal. It's a play button and a pause button, which I think is so fun. I would love to have known the people at Volkswagen who sat down at a meeting and said, let's do something a little bit different and try to make that happen. And it did. And I think it's great because it's little things that buyers in this market are going to appreciate. Setting off again. Yeah, see, it still gets up and goes. I mean, the electric powertrains have that immediate punch, which I think is so much fun to have. And I really like this car. It's so many people bash electric cars. I mean, I can't say I'd have an electric car in my fleet just because of where I'm at in my life, but I do really like them. I think they offer a really different driving experience, especially for people that don't really need to worry about how the car's idle sounds and how the exhaust sounds, but for someone that just wants nice, quiet transportation, that wants to do something a little bit alternative, that can factor charging an electric vehicle and having that in their life, then I think the ID.4 is a really cool option for people. And I love where their design language is going. I like the way they've done the interior, the materials, the cool technology like the wireless charging, the USB-C charging ports, which is a bit more of an efficient, faster way to charge. The infotainment system, which I really like. It's a great. The screen, the quality is fantastic. The responsiveness is fantastic. Everything's really easy to navigate. And then at the end of the day, you get to experience that electric powertrain. So huge thank you to everyone at Sarah, Traverse City, and Volkswagen for letting me check out the ID.4 for you guys today. Please let me know what you guys think of the ID.4, and maybe I can answer a few questions, or if you want me to share my thoughts between this, the Mach-E, and the Tesla Model 3, then please comment down below, message me, however you want to get a hold of me. That would be great. All right, everybody, stay awesome.